Welcome agents, how you all doing today? Fortunately, this is a bit of a different video, focusing on some not Division 2 related, but related to me a little bit, definitely related to you guys, as well as certainly content creators who run family-friendly content or channels. Now, on screen what you're seeing is COPPA, and this is the Children's Online Privacy Protection Rule. This is not new, this has been in force since 1998. However, as of January 2020, YouTube have to restructure their the system essentially so that children are more protected. And this comes after YouTube recently lost in court. I think they paid a fine of possibly 150 million upwards. Possibly, I can't remember the exact figure, but it was crazy high. And I think it was due to the fact that they were running personalized ads on children, where they've had to collect that data from those children in order to make those ads. And for the FTC, that's a big no-no under COPPA. As you can see here, the rule summary on screen is COPPA imposes certain requirements on operators of websites or online services directed to children under 13 years of age, and on operators of other websites or online services have actual knowledge that they are collecting personal information online from a child under 13 years of age. And I presume that the second part of that applies more to YouTube. Now, why is this such a big deal? Well, this is a very big deal, and there's some huge changes coming to YouTube which are going to impact pretty much everyone, okay? But certainly anyone who has sort of family-friendly content is going to be affected. For me personally, this isn't really going to affect me too much. It's certainly for me uploading and creating content for you guys, just because all of my content is not... none of my content is family-friendly. Obviously, I cover the Division and Division 2, and any other games that I've covered which I believed to be family friendly, like Fortnite, which I've done one video on, Minecraft, which I've done one video on, I've deleted them off my channel now. I've pretty much covered shooters and the Division 2. These are 18 plus games, so there's no way my videos are directed to children. They are very much adult videos, okay? But anyway, let's have a look at these upcoming changes because they're important. So it says here, in the coming months, here's what's changing. As a creator, you'll be required to tell us if your content is made for kids. In addition, we'll use machine learning to help us identify videos that clearly target young audiences at a high level. Content that is made for kids has an emphasis on children or children's characters, popular children's programming or animated characters, play acting or stories using children's toys, child protagonists engaging in common natural play patterns such as play acting or imaginative play, and then popular children's song stories or poems. Okay, and I believe there's more to this, and we're going to go over a little bit more in a moment. But essentially, what it's saying here is that if the machine learning, okay, which for YouTube isn't that great, okay, if the machine learning believes that your channel is family friendly, then you're kind of going to be blacklisted, essentially. Or if you have a video which they believe is family friendly, then they're just going to go, yeah, that's family friendly, we're not pushing that out, essentially. And it doesn't even have to be content that is family friendly. And I'll give you an example. There's a YouTuber by, I can't remember the name, but he does animated stories, okay, but he swears in it. It's very adult, okay, it's very adult in its theme, okay, but it runs animated stories, okay. Now if you look at the thumbnail, you would presume just from the thumbnail that is probably for kids. And even if you don't, and if you turn off the sound, then it's for kids. And unfortunately, that is probably going to be affected as a result of this, even though it's clearly for adults, because it's something that kids could watch or would, it's something that kids might want to see because it's got animated characters in. That would probably fall under the bracket of this. Okay, it says ultimately you know your audience best and will rely on you to designate in studio your videos as made for kids. If a creator attempts to avoid categorizing their content correctly, there may be consequences on the YouTube platform for that creator. Now, what I found out, and I found out about this from the quartering, that ultimately, if you label it incorrectly and for whatever reason the FTC decide, do you know what, you've labeled that incorrectly, this is for kids, you said it's not, then they can charge you $42,000 per video, which is absolutely crazy. Okay, now moving on here, it says we'll stop serving personalized ads on content as made for kids, whether designated by you or by a classifier. Now, why that is so important for content creators and why you should always, if you really like a content creator and you enjoy watching their content all the time, and I do it myself for videos that I watch, is that when you get those 5-second ads or those 15-second ads, whatever, just watch them. turn off, mute it, read the comments, whatever. Just let it play through, because then that creator gets a little bit of cash for it, okay? And it just shows your support. As soon as you click away from that ad, then they don't really get anything. With personalized ads, with those being removed, it's been calculated that between 60 and 90% of your revenue will be lost. And that was after a study of a couple of YouTubers who basically turned off their personal ads for like 5 days, and their revenue tanked by, again, between 60 to 90%. It's not a definite figure, but between that much. So what this is saying is that if you make a video and then you mark it for, this is suitable, this is for kids, essentially, then you are not going to get paid. Or you are certainly not going to get paid. You're going to get paid barely anything. And if you mark it not for kids, but it's got kid content in, then you could be fine. So really, at this point in time, after January, you might as well just start making adult content, essentially. I mean, there's going to be no room for kids content on YouTube after 2020, which is strange because you've got YouTube for kids, right? So it's frustrating. Basically, content creators that are going to be hit by this the most are people that make kids content. Anyone who runs Fortnite, which would definitely be considered kids content. Any gaming channels that run Fortnite are going to be in trouble. Channels like Morgs, that's kids content, going to be in trouble. I mean, this is really going to hit some people really, really hard. Just going on here, it says, in accordance with COPPA, serving personalized ads that are targeted to users based on their past usage of Google products and services, which child audiences is not permissible. Now, I just want to say this, guys. This is not a YouTube thing, all right? This has been enforced by the FTC. YouTube can do nothing about this. This is a federal law, and they have to abide by it, essentially. So this is not YouTube's problem. This is just a problem overall. And I've got no issues with the actual what's trying to be done here, right? I've got no issues with them trying to protect kids online. But YouTube is for, I believe, if you go onto the app, I think YouTube is 17 plus. And I think you can't make an account on YouTube unless you're over the ages of 13. Of course, people lie. So if you are going onto YouTube and you know it's 13 plus and you're underage, then isn't that up to the parent to make sure, that they are not going on that if they're underage? Does that make sense? So instead of putting it on the creators and on YouTube, how about you put it on the parents who should be looking after their kids to make sure that they're watching content which is their age. So if they're under the age of 13, then yeah, they should be watching YouTube. They should be watching YouTube for kids, okay? If they're over 13, then it's fine. But there is, and again, it's not clear there as well, because that 13 plus only applies to your region. So I'm not sure what it is in the UK, but different regions define kid differently. In the US, it's 13. So, if you're over the ages of 13, then you're not defined as a kid anymore. So this wouldn't apply. I don't know what it is in the UK, and I don't know anywhere else. But you'd have to, as a creator, you'd have to think about your own region and decide whether it's for kids or not. It says, if applicable, this may result in decrease in revenue for some creators. By decrease, they mean an absolute ton. Note they will continue to serve non-personalized ads, blah, blah, blah. Some features will no longer be available on this type of content, like comments. So if you go onto a kids channel in 2020, there will be no comments. Okay? The ability to comment will no longer be available on the watch page. Likes, dislikes, and subscriptions on this content will not show up on public lists. Overall, viewers will have minimum engagement options with made for kids content on youtube.com. These videos are going to be suppressed so hard that anyone making kids content is essentially ruined in 20. I know what I'm laughing for. It's absolutely just, what I'm laughing about is that I just can't quite believe this is going through. And I get it. I know they're trying to protect kids, but shouldn't that be up to the parents? Going onto a platform that specifically is 13 and above, I think as a parent, that should be on you to make sure your kids are not watching YouTube, not the overweight. It shouldn't be up to YouTube to make sure your kid's not watching. I don't know. It says, preparing for these changes, we recognise that this won't be easy for some creators. We'll believe that these are important steps, blah, blah, blah. Understand terms of service, blah, 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 whatever. So, essentially, this is going to impact YouTube in such a significant way. And I think it's going to impact you as someone watching YouTube as well. And I'll give you an example. So if you were to go onto, say for example, I was to go onto YouTube now, and I was to watch Peppa Pig, right? I'm an adult. I've got an account that's obviously it as an adult because they've got my date of birth. But if I was to go and watch Peppa Pig, okay, and then go and watch someone else, the learning, the machine learning is going to assume that because I'm watching Peppa Pig, or have done, I'm a kid. It will automatically presume for every content that you're a kid. And then when you go and watch someone else that might not be, the machine learning will presume that you are a kid watching that content, and it will try and protect you by suppressing that video. And it's just, like I said, this isn't going to really, I hope, shouldn't really, based on the what's coming out here, shouldn't affect me. But it's going to have a huge impact on YouTube. It's so vague. The rules are so vague on what is considered child friendly or not, because it's not. It should never be open to interpretation, but it is. Okay, it's not black and white. It's very, very grey. And what the FTC identify as content that children might be interested in is the crux of it. And that's up for them to decide. And if they decide, you know what, even though you say it's not, we think it is, and we're going to take action, then they're going to pursue you. And if you're found guilty, then please give us £42,000, please, and all the other videos that you got. It's crazy. But anyway, guys, I just wanted to put that out there. Not many people are talking about this, and we're only 2 months away, essentially, from this going through, and a lot's going to change next year. I mean, hopefully my channel, nothing's going to change at all, but I know a lot's going to change. Now, I am aware, and I'm not naive to the fact that I think YouTube will probably do something for these channels, because at the moment, if you don't know how YouTube works, right, so you get CPM, which is kind of like the amount of money you get per 1,000 views. So when I first started YouTube, it was like the average people told me was you get £2.50 per 1,000 views. But everyone's different, okay? So I don't know what mine is personally, but what I think they might do is, because the video, the revenue or the videos is going to be suppressed so much for family content, because they won't be pushing out notifications and all that stuff, whilst they might be suppressed loads, they'll increase their CPM, so the amount of money they get per video, substantially, to kind of mitigate the amount of money that channel is probably going to lose. Whether that'll do anything, I don't know. Whether they'll even do that, I don't know. They've definitely not said that, but I would hope that that's something they would consider, because otherwise those family-friendly channels, they're going to go down. They will all go down pretty significantly. So yeah, anyway, so let's make this video for today, guys, just because I've been watching about it. I actually watched a video a couple of days about it, and I didn't really take it on. I've watched a few today, and I was like, do you know what, I need to talk about this, just to put it out there. So for anyone who's wondering, that's what's going on. I highly recommend that if you like a content creator like myself, if you're watching this and you enjoy my content and ad runs, just watch it, mute it, whatever, go on your phone, let it run, and that way you're supporting me. I know that I appreciate that you're not going to do that on everyone, and I don't expect everyone to do that. Ultimately, as long as you watch my video, I'm cool. But if you do want to support me in that way, and it costs nothing to you, just a little bit of your time, then please do that, because it really will help you out. And please do that for every other creator that you watch as well. I do it for all the creators I watch, because I know how the system works. And yeah, we're going to call it a day. Of course, tomorrow we got State of the Game for the Division 2, so make sure you got notifications turned on for that, because I'll have it covered. But that's it for today, guys. Until next one, peace.